Warning, this podcast is not for the faint of heart. We keep it real and raw and talk about issues that other podcasts wouldn't dare. This is the Truth of the Matter podcast with Dr. Spencer. Step into our world. What do you do if you fall in love with one of your kid's friends who's over 18? How do you handle getting caught in bed with your boss? Why do girls like bad boys? Are you burned out from an unbalanced career and personal life? Are you still working while your kids are telling you how their days went? Our passion is to help people in relationships, anyone you have a connection with in life, neighbors, coworkers, family, spouse, kids, yourself, and helping you achieve the work-life balance. Let's have some fun and let's get educated. This is the Truth of the Matter podcast. And now your host, Dr. Lamarr Renee Spencer.
Well, thank you so very much, everyone. You know I'm Dr. Lamarr Renee Spencer, but I have ministry, podcast, motivational speaker. The list goes on. I have royalty here on the stage with me today. I said, hey, I'm on the big stage and I'm on here with you, okay? So I have Mr. Earnest James from podcast Deal to Heal with E. James, and we're going to have all his socials, of course, where you can find him, his books. Once this podcast renders and it goes out, you're going to find all that, and I'm going to show you why you need to really start following this man. When I say God sent, absolutely, he's really like our gate to heaven, helps everyone. His podcast, really, I listen to all of them. I'm still listening to them, but even just to help, I'm telling you, he's just like a friend, really. I tell people all the time, you may have 4 or 5 friends, but then you have 1,000 because you have them on social media. So we're going to move past that now, like I said, because he's busy. He has 30 minutes and that's it. By now I have like 26 because, I talk too much. But today we want to talk about the importance of father and daughter relationships. I thought that was such a fitting topic because I don't always think that people talk about the importance of those relationships. So often we hear about the mothers being like the pinnacle of, or the epitome of the relationship between the child and them. But we want to talk about the fathers, from a person who really, I'm sure he realized he probably has thousands of children because, again, such a mentor. So Ernest, let me ask you a question, right? And we're going to go into why I'm asking the question, but let me just ask you, what do you think is the most, so even though we know father and daughter relationship is important, but what makes the father and daughter relationship more important or different than the mother and the daughter?
Well, first of all, Dr. Spencer, let me say thank you for having me on, and thank you for gracing my podcast with your presence and your influence also. But when we talk about the father-daughter relationship, I wouldn't say it's more important or anything like that than the mother, but it's different, right? And so I always say that when God brought us together, when he formed us, he formed man and woman to come together to produce a child. But not only to produce that child, but to raise that child, together, that child may have a healthy balance, in life. And so that's just what it's from the beginning. That's how it was set up, so it's supposed to be a father and a mother because we bring different things, right? And so on the surface level, if I had to break it down into the smallest thing, I would say just the emotional balance. Right? Women are more emotional than men, and men deal more with facts than feelings. And when you look at what that details, that you go into really to find out how much of a difference that makes. Because if you are a woman, 9 times out of 10, like I said, you're very emotional. So you make decisions out of your emotions, but your emotions change every couple seconds. You know what I'm saying? And so if you're constantly making decisions out of your emotions and your emotions are constantly changing, then those decisions that you just made 10 minutes ago are now not beneficial to you 30 minutes later. But because men deal with facts and they're able to separate the facts from the feelings, and then now you can make precise decisions. Not only that this decision is good for you now, but then it also works out for you later because you took the time to think it through. So that's the difference I think between the raising of the mother. Again, the mother is a nurturer. She's love. She's all those things. But when you step out into this world, love ain't gonna get you everything.
No.
You know what I'm saying? Love ain't gonna get you. The nurturing ain't gonna help you make those right decisions, because all the time the decision is not right or wrong. It could just be better or best, right? And so I give the example about my daughter when she was ready to go buy her first car. Or she was, planning or even thinking about going to buy a car. It's like, okay, I'm gonna go to work, I'll save up my money, I'll get this, large down payment, so I have low, payments per month, which is good. That's a good idea. But now, me as a father, I have to come in and say, yeah, that sounds good, but how about we work on your credit so you have A1 credit, so you don't need a down payment. So that automatically, not only do you not need a down payment, but because your credit is right, then your payments is going to be low too. So it works better on both ends. So it's not a good or bad decision, but it's a better or best decision because I'm able to act out or think about, make those decisions from a factual place and not a feelings place. And so that's just the differences.
Right. You're absolutely right. I know. I have to say, right, my father was in the Army and the Marines. And no matter what, he was always there, still is. You're right. It was always, what are the facts? Get past the emotion. What are the facts? Not that he didn't care, because he cared very much, right? But I had to come in and say, okay, this is what it is. This is what I think it is. And this is how we should solve it. But I may not understand. So can you help me? It was always like that. It's like, okay, let's get past all that. And I have to say, because he was in the military, and of course, when you have that military training and now you have a child, you start picking up some of those traits as well. There's no like fluff around things. It's okay. What is it? And I appreciate that. Now, if I want all the, like I said, the fluff, if I want the warm and fuzzy, I go to my mother, right? Because that's, more the coddling. But you're right. In this world, it's tough, especially for us girls and women. We become women. It's a tough thing because now we have to deal with that. They don't care about your feelings, so you have to be prepared for that. Even now, now it seems like it's harder because you have social media. And, I want to talk about that. So, like, for instance, what do you think about, for instance, if the father doesn't have a close relationship, how can we bridge that?
Well, so from the father's point of view, right? So one of the things I talk about when I talk to fathers is the reconnection with your child, right? When you're coming back in. So generally, you've been away for a while, whatever that while may be, but whatever that time frame may be. So when you're coming back into that child's life after being gone for whatever time, there's a couple of things that you as a father need to think about. And one of those things is coming in just from the beginning is to not try to come in where you left off at, right? So a lot of times fathers try to come in, they may have left when that child was 1 or 2 or something like that. So now the child is 20 and now you're coming in, but you're still coming in as if that child is still 2, So now you're still coming in with, oh, I want to be there. Hey, cootie good, trying to do all that. And the child like, no, those days is past. You know what I mean? This child may be 20 now. So now you need to come in. You need to come in where they are, meet them where they are at the position that they're in now, right? So that's one. The other thing is when you come in, don't try to come in trying to tell your side of the story, right? Because you've been gone. So you've been gone. So that child may have only been hearing, the mom's side of the story, which is just be true. So you get, whatever that the mom feels, you're getting all that. But if you're the one that's been absent, your first goal should be trying to build a relationship with your child, not to save face, right? And then when you think about that, even as a father, your job is to protect your child, right?
Mhm.
And so that means protecting your child even from yourself if that's going to be detrimental to your child. And so I explain it this way. If your child grew up with only her mother, right, or whether it's a son also, with only their mother, and this is the person who raised them, this is the person that loved them, this is the person that's been pouring into them, and that's the only person that they know. So that person is truth. You know what I mean? And so when you come in as a father and you say, well, now I'm here, let me tell you my story, and this is what happened, and your mama did this, and whatever, and it may be true, but what position does that put your child in now? So now this child is faced with the decision of, do I believe in the person that's been here for me all the time, or do I believe what this new person is saying, right? And if the child finds out that what you said was true, so now you've came in and you said, no, your mother was wrong, she pushed me away and she wouldn't let me see you or whatever, and that may be true. So now that child finds out that's true, so now look at the position that they're in. Now they start to lose trust in the person who's been there for them all their life, but then they can't trust you because you just came. You know what I'm saying? They don't know you. So where does that put the child?
Right.
So we have to put ourselves on the back burner and say, what is in the best interest of the child? Let me build a relationship with my child. And when that child is ready, believe me, that child will say, okay, why wasn't you there? They will give you the opportunity to hear your side of the story. If they want to hear, they might not even want to hear it at all. It might be more important for them for you to be here now in the present than to even talk about what happened in the past. Because there are some instances, especially with daughters, where they are adults now, they have their own kids, they're married, and they're like, look, I ain't even worried about me. I'm grown now, I'm good, but I want you to have a relationship with your grandkids. I want you to be a better grandfather than you were a father to me. So they don't even care about why you weren't there, because now they've come to another place in their lives. But now what they need for you now is to be present in the lives of your grandchildren. So from a father's point of view, you have to recognize that and know that when you're coming back in, you're coming in with the mindset of what's in the best interest of my child and trying to build that relationship with the child, and not so much of, trying to prove your point or, whatever baggage that you may be carrying from the past.
You said like 3 important points. And let me tell you why. Each one of those points are important because it happened to me. Like I said, my father has always been there. Always. When I say been there, I mean like he was present. Okay. Now, within the last like 4 years, my daughter and we moved in the house next to him. Like he said, he wanted us close. Right now, I'm 40 plus years old, almost 50 years old. But in his mind, I'm 10. Mm-hmm. So if I go out, he would ask like, where are you going? What are you doing? And I'm saying, wait a minute, like I've been an adult longer than I have been a child. Mm-hmm. And then on top of that, like I'm like an adult, like a real adult, like pay bills, responsible work, career. Right. That's what I do. Okay, so I don't think he got that concept, because now we're arguing. So now he feels like he had 2 children, which is me and my daughter. And so then what I found started happening was he's infringing on my parenting style. Well, parenting now is different than when I was coming up. Right. Because back then you raised children with fear. Now you have to talk to them, because suicide is on the rise and there's so many different factors out there. And so I asked about the disconnect, because I'm not, I don't go to him like daddy. I'm like, Dad, and we are like adults. He's not my peer, he's my parent, but we're still trying to work through that the communication part. Right. So even for that, what would you recommend? Because he plays the blame game. I'm sorry, the reason I'm asking 2 parts, because it kind of goes together. He plays that blame game. Oh, with your mother is this. It'll be the moon if he could say it. But my mother has never spoken against him, ever. And she has always held him in the highest light. Like, nope, that's your father. Respect your father. But he doesn't want to see it. It's almost like he wants to create his own narrative. Right. And it's not true. So for me, how can I bridge that gap of communication? I love him and I understand where he is, but on top of that, he has PTSD as well. So how do you think, or what would you recommend for me to kind of come on a level playing field or a fair player field with the communication and the bond?
But I think it goes back to what I said a few minutes ago, because he's coming in with his own thought process and his own, delivery of what he thinks he should bring to this relationship, but it's not what you need. You know what I mean? So now although you're his child, you're not a child. So I don't need you to come in as a child. This is what I need you to do. So I think that the conversation needs to be had as, Dad, I love you. This is how I need you to show up now. This is how I don't want to care. I don't care about, what happened with Mom. I'm grown. I've been grown 20 some years now.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So whatever happened between you and Mom, we all past that point. You know what I mean? So this is where I need you to show up for me today. This is how I need you to show up now. I need you to show up in the life of my daughter as being a great grandfather to her. I need you to show her the love and respect and pour into her the same values that you poured into me. But I don't need you to correct me. You know what I mean? I'm who I am now. I'm adult now. But I need you more so to support me and to pour into my daughter so that she has the values and the things that she needs to be raised up as with the balance of a young woman, and knowing the importance of the relationship between man and woman, and not even necessarily romantic relationship, but just that balance of what do I get from you? What do I need from you? And so that's conversation probably needs to be had. Like, this is what I need from you now. I don't need you to question me where I'm going or what I'm doing. I don't need you to try to raise me. I don't need you to try to correct what you think is wrong in my parenting style. But this is what I need from you. And whatever those things are that you sit down and figure out, how do I want my father to show up in my life now? And, what position I want him to play. You have to define that for yourself first, and then have that conversation with him like, Dad, this is what I need from you. And I believe that if he loves you, which I'm sure he does, he will be able to make those adjustments to show up for you the way you need him to show up, and not the way he wants to show up or feels that he needs to show up for himself. Because that seems like what more it is. Like, he's coming in as, from his thought process, like, this is what I need to do, but that's not what you need from him.
You're absolutely right. I couldn't have said it better. So, like, for instance, I'm sure so many out there, because you kind of alluded to it earlier, they never had like that male role model, in their lives. So what they're going on is really kind of like they're shooting by the hips. They really don't know. And I believe that because just in certain circumstances, he didn't know. But like he told me one day, he said, I didn't know what to do. So I just gave you a quote, because he never had that person, like that male figure. His father was in his life, but it's a difference between, being a parent and being like really like present, because he was present, but he didn't like really parent him.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And I think that's that disconnect. So there's no, there's like what I call like a yardstick. He doesn't have like a yardstick. He's just kind of like trial and error.
Right. And so this is one of the things I talk about when I kind of come from that perspective, right? So we take in consideration like fathers and daughters, or sons and daughters, right? So there's a statistic that says fatherless children will give birth to fatherless children, right? And so there's a high percentage of fatherless children that'll give birth to fatherless children. So daughters who are raised without a father will end up having a child, and that father will be absent in the life of that child. And sons who was raised up without a father will give their seed for a child and then be absent in the life of that child. And it's a high number of where this cycle just continues. And so, coming from the son's point of view, a lot of time over the years, you hear the sons, or I've heard the sons say, I'm not going to be nothing like my father. I'm going to be here for my kids. I'm going to do this as a father. And then fast forward, and then you see that cycle has continued and they're absent. Well, the reason for that is our minds is like computers, right? and as vast and strong and creative as it is, it can only go off the information that it has. So if you have no reference point of what it is to be a father because you've grown up without one, and if you haven't had strong father figures and male mentors in your life, you have no information to go off of. So although in your heart you want to be a better father, you want to, stand up and be a stand-up guy, but you have no reference point, right? Like you said, with your dad, you have no measuring stick, you have nothing to go off of. So it's up to us to seek out the information that we need. We have to seek out mentors, seek out fathers, seek out information, especially in this era that we are in now, with the internet and being so much information that is available at our fingertips. We can find out what are the good habits of a father. There are podcasts on fathers. Since I've started the podcast, I've had several guys on my podcast that, have their own mentorship programs where they're reaching out to young boys and even grown men and coming together and building this community of strong men. So the information is out there, but we have to be intentional about going and get that information, because we know that if I didn't have a father, I'm lacking in father skills because I had nothing to go off of. So now I have to purposely go and find those skills to put into myself. So now I know what it is. I know how to react to it. So it's not just something that I'm saying emotionally, that I emotionally want to be a better father, but now I have the tools, I have the information that I can apply and act out to actually become what I'm saying I want to become, which is a better father. But we have to seek that information. We have to seek that example. If we didn't have it in our homes, we have to go look for it.
Right. We have to look for it, but you have to be open, and you have to be honest with yourself and your child. Be honest. We don't expect you to always get it right, because guess what? As a parent now, I know I miss the mark. I miss it terribly sometimes, but I come back and I say, you know what? I'm sorry. I was wrong. And I'm okay with that. I'm just going to have to get it better next time. You can't act like there's nothing going on. There's always an elephant in the room. You can't always blame everybody. Sometimes you're the common denominator. And it's not about, necessarily getting parenting wrong. It's just maybe like adjusting things. Again, there's a million books out there, but it may not be for your particular situation. It is okay. It really is. And then at the same time, you can't always blame the other parent. You really can't, because that other parent probably sacrificed too. And so I talk about he and our relationship, but like my stepfather and my mother have been married for about 33 years. And when I say phenomenal, I mean walk on water. Now, he's a perfectly imperfect person. He's a man of few words. He's not going to hug you all the time. He ain't gonna say he loves you, but he's right there, right? When I went to college, he's right there. Check and presence. And then on top of that, he made sure my mother was okay so that I could be okay and my daughter be okay. And I now, I'm speaking this more. I say, look, women, we have to allow that man to take his place in our children's lives and in our families. He is the head of the family, and we are the neck to support. We have to allow it. You cannot be a father and a mother. You cannot be. I get on a lot of women because even on my podcast and my coach, I said, look, stop saying you want a father's card and a Mother's Day card, because you're both. It may seem like you're both, but you can never raise that girl the way a father raises. And what do you think about this, Ernest? So I talked about my stepfather, who I think is phenomenal. Man of few words. I talk about my father. Both great people, so I don't want to, get that misconstrued. But what I found is, even when I started dating, and other women go through the same thing, they look almost for that father figure in that man. And it kind of puts him on an unlevel playing field, like a disadvantage. What do you think about that?
Well, so I remember having this conversation a while back with someone, and they were saying, asked a similar question, like, if I'm looking for a man and I say I want a man just like my father, was that good or bad? And so my rebuttal to that was with another question is, well, when you say just like your father, what do you mean? Do you mean all of your father, like exactly like your father? But what you really mean is you want someone with your father's values, right? So that's what you're looking for. You're looking for the values, not necessarily the person, right? Because you don't want someone to be your father. You don't want them to treat you like your father. Like you just said with your situation, you're an adult and your father is still trying to father you. So now you want a husband that's trying to father you too? That's not what you want. You want the values. You want what does it mean to pour into me emotionally? What does it mean to build me up? What does it mean to give me self-worth where I'm feeling loved from you? That's what you want. You know, you want those values, not necessarily the person who your father is. And so when I wrote a book, I got an ebook, and it's called The Four Core, which is the four core values that every daughter should receive from her father, right? So when in the four core values, one of the most important things that I point out is, as a woman, or just say as a female, you look for these four core values that you get from your father, that your father should pour into you, right? But the thing is, as a woman, you always need these four core. But what happens when you start dating or you get married, it simply transfers. So you still need it, but now you're not looking for it from your father, you're looking for it from your mate, because you still need to be poured into. You still need that validation. You still need that support from the man in your life, right? So it only goes from who you're getting it from. It goes from your father to your mate, but you still should be getting poured into with these four core values. And so the four core values I have is guidance or direction, is love and affection, is affirmation, and is protection, right? So when we talk about guidance, that's, like I said earlier, to be able to teach you how to make decisions or to operate or move in your direction outside of your feelings, to be able to act on facts, you know what I'm saying, to make better and good decisions, not just good and bad decisions, you know what I'm saying. So that's with the guidance. With the love and affection, this is just showing you love, what it means to be loved, what it means to be cared for, you know, what it means to be poured into from a man's perspective, right? And then with affirmation, it's the building you up, telling you what it is about yourself that you should already know, but maybe you just need to hear it from me. And I should be the first man to tell you. So when the next man comes, it's not a foreign language to you. So I'm letting you know you are beautiful. You are smart. You know what I'm saying? You are worthy. You are enough. You are good enough to be who you are. You know, those words of affirmation and building you up. And then when we talk about protection, you know, oftentimes we talk about the physical protection, but not just the physical protection, but also the emotional protection, or should I say, to build not a protection as far as physical, but emotional, right? The protection that it's okay for me to allow you to be yourself, right? To build you up so you know you're protected in being able to speak your mind, to being able to voice your opinions, to being able to think the way that you think, to be able to be completely you, right? To give you that protection where you feel that freedom that I can express myself the way I want to express myself, right? And so those four cores, those are the four core values that every daughter should get from their father. And when you start dating and we start looking for a male or a mate, you still need those four core values. So when you're looking for somebody, you're not necessarily, again, you're not looking for someone that to be just like your dad, but maybe to have those core values that your dad has. And so that's what you're looking for. You're looking for the values, not the person.
Right. Because for me, especially having two really fathers, I can take something from each one of them, right? And you really can. So you said something important. Tell your daughters how beautiful they are. Tell them how great they are, whatever. Be their biggest cheerleaders. Because what I find is that, like, you know, love is an action word, right? So they think, well, you know what? I sent you to college. You know, I bought you this, I bought you that. That was their way of showing love. But sometimes you just want to hear it. You know, that's important. You want to hear it. It's not about the materialistic things. Now, you know your parent loves you, your father, right? You know that. But we want to hear it. Not always when we're doing something bad. We want to hear it even when we're doing something great. And another thing too, Don't tell other people how proud you are of your children. Tell your children. They need to hear it from you. Because I know for me, for so long, that was always a question mark. I know you're there, but I want to hear it.
Yeah, and I think it goes to what you said, and this is something that everyone should remember. Like you just said, love is an action word, but sometimes we need to hear the words to affirm the actions. Right. So sometimes you can tell me or you can show me you love me by your own examples. I did this for you. I provided for you. I put a roof over your head and all of those things. Yeah, those were actions, but your actions don't always equate to how I feel. Those actions where although I receive what you've given me physically, it doesn't feed me emotionally. So sometimes, yeah, love is an action word, but sometimes let me hear the words so I can associate the words with the actions. Now I feel loved. You know what I'm saying? And not just you saying, well, I did this, and that. Because you can basically have a checklist of things that, okay, what does a dad do? A dad does this. You go down this checklist. Okay, so you did all the things, but you didn't feed me emotionally. There's no emotional connection, and being myself, it's like just like your situation. I'm a father and a stepfather. You know what I'm saying? So I know that sometimes, even as a stepfather, when you come in, you can do all the things that you're supposed to do, but there's not always emotional connection between you and the child because you are the step parent. And so that has to be something that you're conscious of. And so again, like yourself, telling them that, look, I care for you. I'm not trying to take your dad's place, but I'm here and I love you just the same. And I'm going to support you. I'm going to be here for you. But they're hearing those words, not just seeing the actions, because yeah, you love their mom. Yeah, you're putting this house over their head. Yeah, you're, doing all the things, fixing the cars and all that stuff. But that your actions don't always equate. Sometimes we have to hear the words, so we can put the words with the actions, and now we can receive it as love.
Yes. Well, thank you so very much. I appreciate you coming on. Of course, you're going to come back again because you have given us, we are full now. You gave us the food for thoughts. So please tell them really quickly, although, like I said, it's going to be posted, but tell them, James, in the interim, where they can find you.
Well, first of all, Dr. Spencer, let me say again, thank you for having me on. You guys can follow me at Deal to Heal with E. James podcast. I'm on YouTube. I'm on Facebook. I'm on Spotify. All of those spaces with the podcast. And definitely doing a lot more things like this and being on others' podcasts and sharing my message. And also I just launched my website for my ebooks. There's 3 ebooks that are available right now. That's ebooksbyejames.com, ebooksbyejames.com. So when you go there right now, the 3 books that are there now, one is the 4 core, when we talk about the 4 core values that every daughter should receive from her father. The second book is From Males to Men, which is a book more so for young men as they're walking into manhood, some of the principles that they need. And then the third one is a book called Forgiving Me, the 4 Steps to Self-Forgiveness, because that's another thing that I'm very happy and happy to be involved with, which is this workshop, which is this forgiveness mission. The website should be up soon, forgivenessmission.com. But if you go on Facebook, we're there with Forgiveness Mission. So we have forgiveness workshops that we do every quarter. And we're talking about forgiveness and what that means, what forgiveness is, what it means to forgive yourself, what it means to forgive others, and what it is to have forgiveness and wellness. And so I'm very proud to be a part of that mission that we got going on with that. But that's where you can find me, Deal to Heal with E. James podcast on YouTube, on Facebook, even on TikTok. I'm kind of everywhere. But those 2 things, definitely on YouTube and Facebook, and also the Forgiveness Mission and the Forgiveness Workshops, where we do virtual workshops every quarter. I think everyone will be good with that, to be able to glean from that.
Yes. So like I said, don't worry about remembering that. You will definitely be able to find them, because once we release the episode, It'll be right there, and you can just click on it and find him any and everywhere. I mean, he's everywhere. Trust me. You type in E. James, he's right there. Yes. So I'm going to wrap it up because I did say 30 minutes. So thank you so very much for being here again. I appreciate it. I learned so very much. And I want to say thank you all for watching and tuning in with us. And we're going to wrap it up from there. So take care, everyone. Enjoy the rest of your day.
You've been listening to The Truth of the Matter with Dr. Spencer. Yes, we talk about taboo topics, but that's life. And we keep it real and raw. Our passion is to educate and enlighten. We hope you've enjoyed the show. If you did, make sure to like, rate, and review the show. And we'll be back soon. But if you have a unique relationship situation and you'd like help, or you're tired of having to choose between your career and personal life, Dr. Lamarr Renee Spencer is a life alignment strategist and a certified life, relationship, and business coach. So make sure to reach out on Instagram and TikTok at Dr. Lamarr Spencer, on Twitter at Dr. Spencer 15, on Facebook at Dr. Lamarr Renee Spencer, and the website drlamarrspencer.com. Or go old school and call 973-214-6464. Don't forget to purchase the book, The Depth and Diversity with Relationships. Find it on Amazon and the website. See you next time on The Truth of the Matter.